Hello everyone, this is Mr. Lipchick, and our discussion today will be issues in economic developments, in world economic development, that is. Okay, LDCs, or less developed countries, often have difficulty developing because of deficits in the factors of production. Natural resources are not spread equally throughout the globe. Some countries have more than others. Only 10% of the Earth's land is arable or suitable for farming. Poor farmland, a lack of rainfall, and few mineral resources have created problems for some lesser developed countries. Sometimes an LDC will have abundant natural resources, but will lack the technology or capital to develop them into goods. A lack of physical capital, that is, human-made resources used to create goods and services, is a problem for LDCs. A lack of physical capital perpetuates subsistence agriculture, which in turn prevents industrialization. Some countries turn to foreign nations for investment capital, but this comes with its own set of problems, namely indebtedness. A lack of human capital, the skills and knowledge gained through education and experience, is also a problem for LDCs seeking to develop economically. An industrialized economy must have individuals with skills to operate the modern technology and to manage the business and government of that country. A lack of human capital or failure to invest in human capital discourages other countries from investing in the less developed countries. Health and nutrition are also important factors in the development of LDCs. Inadequate nutrition or malnutrition causes large numbers of people to have physical and mental issues, lowering their productivity in the nation's economy. Education and training are critical to moving LDCs into the developed world. Low literacy rates, which are high because of subsistence agriculture, keep the LDCs from developing economically. Individuals who do manage to acquire education often leave to make more money in industrialized nations, and this is called the brain drain. There is also a serious inequality in the education of women in many LDCs, effectively depriving the economy of half of its human capital. Frequently, women in these countries have children at an early age. Cultures in some LDCs limit job opportunities for women, and women are paid lower wages. Some cultures devalue women and do not develop their potential. The colonial histories of many LDCs often impede their economic development. To the right is a map of Africa and all of the different colonial empires it was carved into by 1913. It had a serious impact on that continent's ability to develop economically. While they were colonies, these countries were forced to give up their natural resources to industrialized colonial masters, who in turn uh, turned them into manufactured goods, which they sold back to them. Okay. After World War II, many nations overthrew colonial rule, but were underdeveloped because of their many years under the rule of Western nations. And after the colonial periods, many LDCs adopted centrally planned economies in order to industrialize more rapidly. And by centrally planned, they're referring primarily to socialist governments and communist governments. While this worked in the short term, long-term economic growth has been hindered by this system. Okay, we've already discussed how free market capitalism will lead to economic development. Political corruption is a major issue. in the development of LDCs. On the right, you'll see a picture of Mobutu Sese Seko, who plundered the treasury of Zaire. Many of their political leaders have authoritarian powers and keep much of the nation's wealth to themselves and their allies. Efforts at land reform in Central America, for instance, have been hindered by corruption and illegitimate governments that took power by force, dictatorships. Political instability is another problem in the development of LDCs. Africa is plagued by civil wars as rival ethnic groups and former colonies fight for power. 800,000 Rwandans died in the civil war that took place between the Hutus and the Tutsis. And this rivalry, this war, was a result of a great deal of resentment that built up during the colonial period, where one group was favored over the other. In Latin America, there are many leftist or communist movements which engage in armed clashes against authoritarian governments that rule by force and are not democratically run. The Shining Path guerrillas in Colombia would be an example. Because of their difficult histories, both in seeking to develop and trying to provide the necessities of life for their peoples, LDCs have taken on serious levels of debt to foreign nations. This is an especially big problem in Latin American nations, where most of their development has been financed by England or the United States. And the strength of the US dollar has at different times made it difficult for LDCs to pay back their loans in their own currencies, keeping them in the cycle of debt. Thank you for your time, and I hope to see you in the live lessons. Have a good day.